Mendeecees was meant to be chilling, answering sporadic fan enquiries, laughing, and having a good time during another late-night Instagram Live. However, nobody anticipated this. What began as light-hearted conversation evolved into one of the most shocking admissions reality TV viewers have ever seen. Suddenly, his tone shifted. He hesitated, examined the camera. After that, he declared, "He is not my biological son." Quietness. The comment section stopped working. Thousands of people watching in real time were unsure if they heard it correctly. Was Lil Mendeecees the subject of his conversation? Was he telling the truth? Was this a twisted joke, or what? The internet was rocked by the incident. Screenshots were flying, blogs with real-time postings. Twitter took off. In an attempt to verify the facts, even the couple's close friends started communicating. What was he trying to say? How was it possible for him to express something so significant and intimate on live? Yandy's name began to trend within minutes. Insiders from the family spoke up. Old videos came back to life. Their blended family's entire dynamic was called into question. Was someone betrayed? Were the cameras the only reason? Fans are demanding answers when Mendeecees revealed a bombshell that no one could have predicted. What caused this startling incident? What impact would it have on their future? Let's get started. Like a bomb going off in slow motion, the comment reverberated around the live stream. Mendeecees had stated, "He's not my real son," with calm eyes and a quiet voice. But what did those words mean? Breaking down. At first, fans couldn't even comprehend it. Thousands of others rushed to tag other people, record the screen, rewind, and drop startled emoticons. Was Lil Mendeecees the subject of his conversation? The boy he had proudly claimed as his own all his life, the same child that grieved on TV, when Mendeecees was sent to prison, appeared in every Father's Day post and walked with him on red carpets. The misunderstanding was short-lived. Mendeecees sat back and sighed deeply a few seconds after delivering the bomb, as though letting go of a fact that had been bothering him for years. He whispered, "I did what I had to do. I brought him up. I cherished him. However, I can no longer lie." That was it. It only required that. The internet went down. Twitter threads blew up in a matter of minutes. Hold on, what? Mendeecees recently claimed that Lil Mendeecees isn't his biological son. One user posted a tweet. "This better be fake," someone else wrote. "I was raised believing that boy to be his blood." Rashida's mouth actually dropped mid-sip of her wine back at the Frost home, where Kirk and Rashida were allegedly watching the live together, according to insiders. Did he say that? Live? She let out a gasp. Kirk, who is often quiet during these situations, is said to have responded, "Man, he done lost his damn mind." However, what had actually caused this? Why now? Above all, what would Yandy's response be? No one was aware of the months-long simmering hostility behind the scenes. An unnamed love and hip-hop production worker claimed that the couple had been fighting off-camera lately. It has nothing to do with money, not about being famous, but about facts, old, hidden, and ones that Mendeecees didn't want to remain secret. The assistant said he felt trapped. For the cameras, the fans, and the image, he seemed to have to continue living a lie. It seems that the bombshell wasn't dropped alone. Yandy and Mendeecees had a huge blowout just 1 week prior to the live event. An argument that rocked their home to its foundation, but didn't make it onto social media. The catalyst? "Can we do a DNA test just for fun?" was the innocent question posed by Lil Mendeecees. It was intended to be humorous, based on what he observed on TikTok, where children were tricking their parents by making false paternity announcements. However, Mendeecees was struck like a goods train. He later informed a close buddy, "He ain't never asked me that before. My head was messed up. Made it clear to me that I had been lying the entire time." For example, for whom am I even doing this? It became out that Mendeecees had been plagued with the truth for more than 10 years. "The real tale is complex," says a childhood friend. Mendeecees dated a Harlem lady who claimed to be pregnant while he was just 19 years old. Although the timeframes were hazy, Mendeecees had already moved on by the time the kid was born. Nevertheless, the woman maintained that he was the father. Mendeecees took the initiative because he wanted to do the right thing. He finally developed a connection, paid child support, and spent weekends with the infant. Mendeecees began referring to that child on Instagram as his little man after he turned 6. The picture was sealed. However, what is the reality? He was unsure. Had always. The childhood friend disclosed that he never took a test. I once said to him, "Bro, are you sure?" "Man, I don't want to know," he said. "Does it make a difference now?" And that turned as his motto. Mendeecees embraced the role as the years passed. He was a master at playing the role of father at birthdays, graduations, and TV appearances. The dynamic was adored by fans. When Yandy entered the picture, she even welcomed the boy as her own. Using hashtags like #BlendedLove and #NoStepJustFamily, she would share pictures of her family. But the hush deepened behind the scenes. Things changed when Mendeecees was sent to prison. According to others close to Yandy, she took full responsibility for Lil Mendeecees, ensuring that he attended school, helping him with his homework, and helping him navigate the pandemonium. According to one insider, that boy started calling her mom before Mendeecees came home. They came really close. That was what he needed. However, it also made matters more difficult. Mendeecees sensed the distance when he got back. According to a friend from his gym circle, he no longer felt like a father. In his own house, he felt alienated, as if they had connected in his absence. That uncertainty grew. According to reports, Yandy sidestepped the topic in an effort to preserve the family image. She cut him off whenever he mentioned the past or the possibility of using a DNA test to find closure. "Why now? You own him. He was reared by you. Give it up," she would say. However, Mendeecees was unable to. Particularly as Lil Mendeecees began growing older, developing his own individuality, and starting to wonder about things. Blood was no longer the only factor. Truth was at issue, possession, identity. And when the teenager said that harmless jest, "Let's do a DNA test," every wall Mendeecees had constructed was shattered by it. He came to a realization at that very time. He wasn't merely pretending to be someone else for the cameras. He was deceiving himself. What about the guilt? At last, it broke him. He went live for that reason. He said what he stated for that reason. He couldn't bear it any longer, not to harm anyone. But the next thing that happened was unexpected. Chaos broke out in their home a few minutes after the live stream finished. Yandy rushed into the room with her phone in hand, her eyes crimson, her voice shaking, according to a neighbor who says they heard the yelling. "What on earth did you do just now?" According to reports, she yelled. "You didn't even discuss this with me." Mendeecees attempted to clarify, still in shock at the emotional outburst. He stated, "I had to. I couldn't continue to lie. He must be aware. You must be aware." Yandy, however, wouldn't have it. "No," she yelled. "You must be aware of your identity. You just made our son look foolish in front of everyone. For what purpose did you ruin this family? Your conscience." They raised their voices. The doors slammed. Lil Mendeecees in the midst of the storm after returning from a friend's house. "What's happening?" he inquired. The air froze in an instant. Everybody looked at him. The youngster, whose whole identity had been upended, was now confronted by the man he believed to be his father. Yandy muttered, "Baby, not right now." But it was already too late. "We need to talk," Mendeecees murmured, staring him in the eyes. It all fell apart at that point. "We need to talk." The words came down with the force of thunder in a still sky. With his rucksack still slung over one shoulder, Lil Mendeecees remained motionless in the doorway, his gaze flitting between Yandy and the man he had known as Dad all of his life. The energy was off, and he felt something was amiss. The yelling. Then there was stillness. How his mother looked. And now this. It wasn't little, whatever it was. In an attempt to preserve the moment, Yandy intervened right away. "Go upstairs, baby. Please," she responded in a steady but shaky voice. Mendeecees, however, refused to move. "Why?" he inquired. "What's happening?" He sounded a little terrified, and his voice cracked a little, but it was obvious to everyone in the room that he was afraid. The Mendeecees paused. He appeared as though he would shatter for a moment. Then his eyes grew stony. He said slowly, "I said something on live. Additionally, you have a right to know. I ought to have informed you earlier. I ought to have informed you both." Yandy's face flushed with rage. She stepped in front of the boy and yelled, "You are not doing this right now. Do you want to speak? All right. However, not in this manner. Not before him, especially after you just made fun of him in front of the entire internet." However, Lil Mendeecees had already taken his phone out. Group chats, Instagram tags, and memes were all coming in. He had watched the video. He wasn't his real son, according to his own father. His eyes were wide and betrayed when he looked up from the TV. "Is it accurate?" Quietly, he inquired. "You're not my father." It was all in the hush. Yandy moved nearer once more and opened her mouth to speak, but the boy held up a hand. He pointed at Mendeecees and said, "I want to hear it from him. Just be honest with me." Mendeecees inhaled deeply. He said, "I reared you. Ever since you were a newborn, I took you to school, changed your nappies, and taught you how to fight and walk like a man. When no one else was there, I was. However, the reality is that we never performed a DNA test. I mistook me for your father. I desired to be. I still have your dad's vibe. However, blood. I'm not sure anymore." Lil Mendeecees' expression fell apart. "You're implying that you're not even certain." Mendeecees stated, "I'm saying that I can't lie to you anymore. You are now old enough. The truth was due to you." Yandy shook her head in shock, not from the internet, not from a clip, but from me. "You never even asked me how you will be affected by this. You got on the internet and, because you would have prevented me," Mendeecees cried out. "You prevent me from expressing my truth every time." "Reality?" Yandy retorted. "You mean your own guilt, your lack of confidence. You can't handle not being in control, so you feel the need to toss a grenade into this family out of selfishness." Once more, their shouts became more heated. Then Lil Mendeecees interrupted. "What comes next?" With tears in his eyes, he inquired. "Do I still have a place here?" "No, sweetheart." Yandy hurried over and held his face. "You're always welcome here. I own you. We own you. That remains the same, but it does." He yanked away and snapped. "I'm not a fool. The school is already filled with laughter. They're already claiming that I'm not his biological child, that he has been lying all along. I'm not even sure who I am anymore." He looked across to Mendeecees. "So what? You no longer want me?" Mendeecees was devastated by the question. He came over and put a hand on the boy's shoulder, his eyes welling up. "I want you, of course," he declared. "In every important aspect, you are my son. However, I had to be honest. You had to be aware of your origins, so that we can mutually choose our next course of action." The room became silent once more. The tension was oppressive and heavy. Then the true twist came out. A sound came from a door above. Samantha, Lil Mendeecees' biological mother, who had been temporarily residing with them following a family emergency, also showed there. The entire time, she had been paying attention. Her gaze was fixed on Mendeecees as she walked slowly down. "You want to discuss truth now?" With anger in her voice, she spoke. After all these years, Yandy's head turned quickly. "Not right now, Samantha," she muttered. Samantha, however, would have none of it. "Let him hear it instead. Make it known to all. Now that we're speaking the truth, how about you acknowledge that you pleaded with me to keep the truth from him all those years ago?" Mendeecees appeared in disbelief. "What are you discussing? You were aware that the timelines were incorrect." Samantha let out a bark. "You claimed it was irrelevant. that you still desired to raise him. That since it would damage your brand, I should just let it go. And you want to pretend to be some courageous truth teller now, when the cameras aren't even rolling. Mendeecees, stop acting like a victim. This mess is your fault. Yandy scratched her brow in shock. This is crazy. Samantha wasn't done though. She turned to Lil Mendeecees and continued, and let me be clear. Your father, he had no desire to abandon you. Mendeecees warned me it would confuse you, so I kept him at bay. Claimed to be able to provide you with a better life, and I had faith in him. Mendeecees opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He appeared to be a man seeing the slow-motion disintegration of his universe. Meanwhile, Lil Mendeecees was trembling. So, is there another person? He muttered. Is my real father still alive? Yes, Samantha said, her eyes softening as she nodded. Additionally, he frequently inquires about you. He simply wasn't sure if the moment was appropriate. Mendeecees went crazy at that point. You informed me that he vanished, he yelled. You mentioned that he left town. Samantha growled. I said what you wanted to hear. Because you wanted to be the hero so badly. Yandy attempted to defuse the situation, but it was too late. It was all going south. Lil Mendeecees retreated, his thoughts racing. He blurted out, I have to leave, and hurried to the door. He didn't stop even after Yandy called after him. The front door slammed in a matter of seconds, leaving everyone silent and astonished. With his head in his hands, Mendeecees sank onto a chair. What did I do? Yandy gazed at him, devastated. Mendeecees, you didn't simply reveal the truth. He was broken by you. Samantha crossed her arms and stood in the corner. He will now locate his biological father. When will he do it? He might not return. With now the family that had been so solid on television was sitting in shattered pieces, with a young man caught in the middle, trying to figure out who he was, with every secret and lie exposed. However, the drama was far from finished. Lil Mendeecees dashed out of the home, his heart thumping in his chest like a war drum, as the chilly air slapped his face. He was unable to digest the flurry of memories, questions, and feelings swirling around in his head. In front of him, everything he held dear in his life, including his identity, his family, and his father, had been torn apart. Finding the man who shed his blood was now the only thing that mattered. At first, he was unsure of where to go. He simply strolled. Across the street, beyond the school. After basketball practice, Mendeecees used to buy him food from the corner store. Now all the memories seemed phony. Built, predetermined, like a scene from a reality show that he was unaware he was in. His phone was constantly buzzing with missed calls from Yandy, texts from pals, and even direct messages from strangers. The lie had been viewed by all. Everybody had a viewpoint. It didn't matter though. The truth was what counted. And his true father was the one who had it. The silence felt oppressive back at the house. Sitting on the couch, Yandy gazed at the front door, wishing it would open and her son would return. Even though her eyes were swollen from crying, she was still furious. She whispered, I told you, as she turned to face Mendeecees, who remained seated. I warned you that this would ruin him. Mendeecees rubbed his hands over his face and mumbled, I didn't think he'd leave. I assumed he would become irate. Give a shout, perhaps cry. Not this though. Samantha marched behind them while shaking her head and folding her arms. He will track for his biological father. This time, I won't stop him. Mendeecees raised his head. Are you even aware of his location? Samantha paused. I have his phone number. We occasionally speak. Yandy squinted her eyes. You've been conversing with him? Samantha yelled, he's his father. Out of respect for the life you guys created, I didn't tell him where we were. Now though, you guys really blew that up. My son will therefore receive the answers he seeks. His mother had informed him that she used to live in the Bronx before things changed, and Lil Mendeecees had taken the train there from across town. He pulled out his phone, accessed his direct messages, and got off at a stop he hardly recalled. Samantha sent the final message, which contained an address. The apartment block was modest, quiet, and old, with walls that were flaking from paint. After standing outside for a while, he pressed the buzzer. Through the intercom, a voice crackled. "Hello." There was a silence. "I believe I am your son. This is Mendeecees." Another extended pause. The buzzer then sounded. Lil Mendeecees entered as the door slowly opened. His entire body was trembling. His voice, his hands, his legs. He ascended the steps as though he were approaching a holy object or a perilous one. Apartment 3B's door was already open. A tall man in his late 30s with the same eyes and jawline was standing there. He was not smiling, like he was staring at a phantom. He just stared. The man finally remarked, "You look a lot like your mum." Lil Mendeecees took a deep breath. "Are you my biological father?" The man gave a slow nod. "Indeed, Malik is my name." The uneasy pause was broken. The sort of quiet that spans years of being away and unsolved questions. "What kept you from being there?" the boy inquired. With a sigh, Malik gestured for him to enter. It was a tidy little flat. There are pictures on the wall, a carefully folded blanket on a couch, unopened letter on a table. As they sat down, Malik remarked, "I wanted to be. It got messy with your mum. She then informed me that someone else would be taking over. Claimed to be wealthy, well-known, and stable. Claimed that if I stayed, it would only confuse you. It was for my own benefit," she added. Lil Mendeecees whispered. Malik gave a nod. "Perhaps it was. Perhaps it wasn't. I've been watching you. I've witnessed your growth through school honors and birthday photos. I was aware that you were doing well. Superior than what I could have offered you at the time. But you didn't try." The boy inquired. "Not once at all." Malik inclined himself forward. "I sent you letters. They were never sent by your mother. She declined my invitation to meet you on your 10th birthday. I even once attended one of your basketball games. You failed to notice me. However, I was present." Lil Mendeecees gazed at the ground, attempting to comprehend everything. Yandi's phone rang at home. She didn't even glance as she lifted. "Hey, he was the one." The voice said, "Hey, this is Malik. He's present." Yandi froze as he approached me. "Oh my God, is he all right?" Malik said, "He's quiet. However, he is secure. All he's trying to do is find his place." Yandi's eyes began to well up with tears once more. "Just keep him safe, please." "I shall," Malik pledged. "However, you must also tell him the truth. In addition to Mendeecees, not just me, you all." Mendeecees then picked up the phone. "Hey dude, I didn't intend for this to occur." "I understand," Malik answered coolly. "However, it did. It is now necessary to correct it." Lil Mendeecees spent the night at Malik's house. They spent hours discussing their favorite films, music, and school. Malik made no effort to be a father figure. He simply listened. Let the boy speak. Allow him to weep. Let him get angry. Then Lil Mendeecees smiled for the first time in years. A genuine grin. Not because he knew everything, but because the lies were finally exposed. At last, the masks were removed. However, that did not imply that the healing process had begun. The following morning, it was reported on the internet that Malik had uploaded a picture of a pair of identical trainers, not of himself and Lil Mendeecees. The caption, "First day. Let's start over." The internet blew up once more. After seeing the live, viewers jumped right into theories. This dude was who? Was he pursuing influence? Was all of this a ruse? Was Yandi lying from the beginning? The strain on the family was worse than before. In the meantime, Mendeecees walked the living room, feeling as though he was losing control of everything. He murmured to Yandi, "I reared that boy. I gave him everything. I could lose him now." Yandi's eyes were fatigued when she gazed at him. The truth doesn't lead you to lose a child. Because you forgot how brittle his heart was, you lose him. Mendeecees did not answer. He simply gazed at the door and prayed in silence that his son would pass through it once more, not for closure, but for another opportunity. It was 3 days later. Nobody knew what to anticipate during those 3 long, quiet days. Yandy checked her phone every 5 minutes and hardly slept. Every night, Mendeecees sat in the same chair and repeatedly reloved the scene on live, including the words he couldn't take back, Lil Mendeecees' expression, and the sound of the doors slamming. However, Lil Mendeecees came back as silently as he had left. The morning was a Sunday. The sun has just risen. The front door creaked open, and he entered with eyes older than 16, a duffel bag in hand, and a hoodie over his head. He remained silent for a while. He didn't have to. The room's tension did the talking for him. Yandy hurried over. "I'm fine, baby," he murmured softly. "I simply had to watch things for myself." Mendeecees rose gradually. "You located him?" The boy gave a nod. "Indeed. Malik and I met. I spoke with him. I also gained a lot of knowledge about each of you." Samantha, fighting back tears, came in from the kitchen. "Additionally, how did you feel?" Lil Mendeecees turned in her direction. "I felt deceived. I had the impression that my entire existence was planned to safeguard your version of events. However, I also felt at peace. Because I know now at least. I no longer feel perplexed. I simply felt pain." Yandy dabbed at her eyes. "We never intended to cause you harm. We believed that keeping you safe meant limiting your knowledge." "That's the issue," he answered. "What I could manage was determined by you. What I could comprehend. I never had a choice because of you." Mendeecees took a step forward. "I acknowledge my error. I should never have stated it that way. It was neither the place nor the time. However, everything I offered you was genuine, including the conversations we had, the nights I spent up with you, and the times I saved you from trouble. Blood was never necessary for me to adore you. In every important aspect, you were my son." Lil Mendeecees gave him a look. He had an unreadable face. He muttered, "But you still said it. You continued to tell everyone that I'm not your biological son, and that's all anyone can see now." The voice of Mendeecees broke. "The world wasn't intended for that. I was in anguish when I said it. It was my error. And if you let me, I'll make it up to you for the rest of my life." A long silence followed. A deep quiet that reverberated. Lil Mendeecees then sat down after dropping his luggage. "Malik informed me that he is not here to take your place. If anything," he said, "he owes you for filling in for him when he couldn't. However, I'm not sure how to feel. I'm torn between 2 people who claim to be my father, and I'm no longer really sure who I am." Yandy took a seat next to him. "You're powerful. You're nice. You have a lot of passion. You embody all that they both poured into you. You are not required to select one over the other. However, you will need to decide who you can trust in the future." The whole family got together that evening for a private discussion without any cameras, live streams, or followers. Just genuine sentiments and words. Malik also joined them. Mendeecees rose up when he entered, not to quarrel or fight, but to confront the man whose name had plagued him in silence for years. "I have history with you," Mendeecees started. "You were not there. I took over. And I brought him up as though he were my own." "I understand," Malik said. "Furthermore, I'm not here to take that away. Now, as I should have, I'm here to be a part of his life." Mendeecees remarked, "Then let's be real. This has nothing to do with you or me. It's about him. He is entitled to a family free from ego." Malik gave a nod. Agreed. Lil Mendeecees gazed at both men as he stood in the center of the room. "What does that signify then? Will the 2 of you quarrel about who gets Father's Day cards?" "No," answered Malik hastily. "It implies that you won't again have to question who is on your side again." "I made a mistake by concealing the truth," Mendeecees continued. "However, I never pretended to adore you." The boy's eyes filled with tears. "Then demonstrate it. Saying I'm your son is not enough. Show me, even in inconvenient situations." Together, they went public the following day. A video and a statement were shared by the entire family. Not a script, no changes, just the unvarnished, exposed truth. In the camera, Mendeecees gazed. I erred. I let my suffering to overpower my love. My son was upset by something I said that I can't take back. However, he is my son. It's because of all we've experienced, not because of our DNA. I brought him up. I adore him. And I always will. Malik trailed behind. Even though I wasn't present to show my son love, I'm thankful that he did. I'm not here to take that. All I'm doing is adding to it. Then Lil Mendeecees spoke, using his own words for the first time. I used to believe that family was easy. I realize now that it's difficult. I am aware of my luck, though. I'm fortunate to have loved ones, even if they don't always understand me. I pardon them. I'm also going forward, according to my terms. Once more, the internet exploded, but this time it was different. Support from fans poured into the comments. "This is truly therapeutic," a person commented. "This is development, not drama." However, not everybody was persuaded. The family was accused of damage control by several admirers. Some questioned the timing, speculating that it was all part of a reality TV, special or spin-off. Then there was still another twist. The next week, VH1 unveiled a teaser trailer for Mendeecees Fatherhood Unfiltered, a limited series that chronicles a path of unvarnished truth, reconciliation, and atonement in real time. The reaction was immediate. Was it all a lie? People pondered. Did they orchestrate this tragedy to boost viewership? But things were more real than ever inside the Harris home. The expression on Mendeecees' face as Lil Mendeecees gave him an unreserved hug was too good for a camera. The tiny moments, like Malik dropping off a pair of trainers, Yandy laying an extra plate at the table, and Samantha nodding discreetly in the background, were too quiet for any producer to plot. Views were no longer the issue here. It has to do with love. Love that is complicated, shattered, and flawed, but still love. I may not know what to call either of you, but I know you're both mine, Lil Mendeecees remarked one evening before turning in for the night. That's sufficient for me. Suddenly, what began as a startling revelation became one of the most heartbreaking experiences the Harris family has ever had. This story has taken unexpected turns, from a single line that rocked the internet, "He's not my real son," to a moving reunion that moved everyone to tears. Mendeecees' moment of vulnerability served as a window into the shattered realities that so many families conceal. The strength of Lil Mendeecees, a young man torn between two fathers, two truths, and two worlds, yet courageous enough to choose healing above hate, was what really astounded audiences. Not to mention the unexpected reappearance of Malik, the biological father who started it all. Was his return sincere? Or was the timing ideal for publicity and drama? Some others think the whole thing was a prelude to the new VH1 program. Others think it was a genuine turning point in their lives. Is it possible for love to triumph against treachery? Is it possible for shattered families to find harmony without the cameras filming? We'd like to hear from you now. Should Mendeecees have kept that secret to himself, or was it right for him to ultimately come clean? Is this the quiet before a storm, or do you think Lil Mendeecees has actually forgiven him? We are reading all of your comments, so please share your opinions in the space provided below. To ensure you don't miss the next phase of this ongoing drama, please hit the notification bell, subscribe for more heartbreaking updates, and like this video if it affected your heart. Since nothing is ever truly buried in the realm of reality TV, the next twist could be revealed in a single show. It's far from over, so stay tuned.